This is the Commonwealth podcast where we interview creators across the state of Nebraska. We're currently sitting on the stage of here, Grand Island, chatting with Zach, John, Michael, Ludwig, and Alex, all band members of The Fae. The Fae is an alternative R&B band from Lincoln, Nebraska, and they're taking the stage in about 90 minutes. They just finished their sound check, and I'm very much looking forward to chatting with you guys. So thanks for joining me.
For sure.
Yeah. So, how does it feel getting back on stages again and doing the whole live performances?
It's very exciting. Getting back. Obviously, we're still kind of ramping up to the speed we were before everything happened. When things shut down, it kind of like, put us on a hold for a long time from the stage. That being said, it was kind of blessing in disguise because we were working on our new album and finished up our new album. So pretty much that whole entire year that COVID kind of shut everything down, we just went to the studio and kind of nailed in that album. But no, it's very exciting, man. It's very exciting to see people, to be in the presence of people again. To kind of just hang out and see faces, and we did some live streams and things, but those aren't exactly the same,
Definitely not.
So it's very exciting, man. Glad to be here for sure.
Yeah. How do you describe the Fae's sound and music for someone who may not be familiar with that?
Yeah, no, we hear all the time, we've got a lot of coverage and stuff over the past, I would say year, because of the new album and everything, and the number one thing that comes up all the time is genreless. There's really no genre to it at all, and I think that's kind of what everybody kind of nails it into. It's weird because I technically don't hear that. I technically do hear the genre, and I do hear the lane, but I definitely can understand why that comes about. That title. Me personally having so much different vibes on music and very eclectic sound of things I like. But then adding these guys where, they also brought pieces of their style, their music that they listen to. So you automatically get that genreless sound, but it's definitely, man, it's I consider it contemporary modern rock soul. It's definitely down there. I think to me personally though, we try to have this box, there's hip hop and then there's rock. And then there's, pop music. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you stretch that box, it's they're genreless. But, that box is pretty big, And so within rock music alone, that's a very, very, very big box, And so, I would definitely say it's alternative R&B is probably the direct title, to give it. But, it definitely brings in a lot of different styles from other things. But it's still that alternative R&B, for sure.
Yeah, yes. How long has the group been together?
So, that's a weird question because, so first I started up a group called AZP. That was pretty much, it was me and I don't think any of these guys was in it at the time. Well, you were. Okay, John wasn't quite yet. Well, no, not at the beginning, but so AZP was, we were from Lincoln, probably a band for about 5 years. And then I started outreaching to kind of I was molding the sound, again, if you go back to a lot of AZP or the Fae songs, you'll realize, I'll change gears of the sound and sounds or the vibe. But I pulled in Ludwig to add in some sound, and that was still AZP sound. So that was 6 years, I would say, of AZP. Yep, and then pulled in John, so that was 7 years, and then that we were 2 years signed to the label that we were signed to in Kansas City, and because of the sound and vibe I kind of want to mold towards differently, I kind of changed the alias at first, so changed from AZP to the Fae.
Okay.
And then the Fae just became something totally different. So it's weird to I don't really know exactly how to whatever, but I guess us four have been together for a total of 4 years. Yep. So.
Okay. How similar is AZP's music to the Fae's?
There's a lot of similarities because me being the lead producer, songwriter, the composer of a lot of that. So there's definitely a lot of similarities in that. But that being said, this Fae that we're at now, over the last year, 2 years, I would say really nailed in that alternative R&B that AZP didn't quite have. Yeah. AZP was more of almost like jam band, rock soul in a sense. Okay. So this definitely narrowed down to different sound or style, but there's a lot of similarities in the both.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where did the name The Fae come from?
Oh, yeah. So you a fan of the show Peaky Blinders?
I've seen it, not a huge fan. So.
Oh.
Yeah, oh. Everyone.
Are you a fan, Hunter? Hunter knows.
Yeah, Hunter's a fan.
He knows
Shout out
what's up.
Hunter.
So there's a scene where the priest was talking to, dang, I forgot the lead guy's name, Shelby, and he was talking to him in the chapel, and he basically told him that he was, I can't remember the exact sentence. I don't want to phrase this exactly. Don't quote me on this, but he basically told him that his life was fake. And when I heard it, I was a diehard Pete Blinder fan at the time. So when I heard it, I was like, what does that mean? I seen it come up in the subtitles. So I looked up in the dictionary, and it was a Scottish term for like fated to die. And then the other definition was like, you're just worldly, unconscious, you're out of this world, your mind thinks differently. And so I just kind of felt like, dude, that's like exactly how I vision a lot of my path through life. I always like brand the Fae with like this wolf, it's like this wild wolf, like in the mountains, it's like your whole point of being, your whole wolf is like being a part of a pack. You strive to be a part of this pack, but there's always those wild lone wolves that just kind of roam and do their own thing until they find the pack. And so I feel like that's like my whole life story. Like I'm just through life, from my early 20s to where I am now, just continually trying to find, that home, for myself. And the music is kind of like, all the songs kind of just narrow into that alone. So
yeah, do you think you're closer to finding that than
oh, for sure, dude. For sure, yes.
So.
I mean, what's crazy is like I think I found it, man. I think for the most part, I definitely found that pack. I have grown to I have a family now. I have 2 kids. I have, I've definitely grown to that pack now, which is it's weird on 2 sides though, because part of me though, you still love when you look out that window sometimes, it's intriguing, and that's why I can still be able to write these songs and still be able to like nail into this topic or this brand, is just because like I still, just like every other human, we struggle with those temptations, we struggle with those things that pop up every once in a while, and that's kind of like, but yeah, no, I definitely feel like I found home over the last 3 years for sure.
Yeah. So the band spends a bunch of time in LA, right? Both
yeah.
LA and Lincoln based?
Yeah. We LA became like a I wouldn't even call it like a second home, more just kind of like a mental escape from the norm. LA just being this city that it's the grand, man. It's the end of all. Like if you can make it in LA, if you can make it in New York type of thing, you can make it anywhere. And like as soon as you land, you just get this feeling that like, everything exists there, from the lowest to the top of the top, and you just like, it oozes you. Plus, just being a musician, being an artist, being in the arts, being in the fashion and all that stuff, man, like LA that's just the place to be. So our newest album is very, very inspired by LA. We started going to LA kind of consistently. I was flew down by a DJ there. A producer brought Ludwig with me, and that's kind of how the whole thing started from there. Then we went down the second time. We brought John and Michael with us. We started working on music together and everything. Then just this past January, right? No. Last month. Dang, last month.
January to
I'm messed up.
June and real quick.
Yeah. Just this past whatever. Yeah, we just got back from LA, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in June right now. The album released. Yeah. The album released, and so we kind of just went out there, promote the album, do some content stuff. So yeah, LA's kind of like that escape from the norm, man.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the 18 months in the pandemic, you all recorded and released an album.
Yeah.
But was that like intentional, like the pandemic hit, and then you decided to start on this album, or were you planning?
Yeah, no, this album was definitely planned like beforehand. As in, not necessarily true. Like a new project was planned before COVID hit. Before all that hit. But it was definitely kind of going to be formed to an album just because of where we sit with the label and stuff that we're with and everything. But going to LA kind of definitely pushed us into getting the vibe to do the album. but COVID just kind of just let the platform be able to be us to be able to be in the studio that whole time and do it. But it wasn't really COVID that put us in there. It was definitely planned before.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the group dynamic like when you go to make new tracks, like the Palm Tree Shade?
Yeah.
The recent album, and I now see how the name of the album is LA inspired.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still something that we're experimenting with, when it comes to like how we create music, all four of us. Michael does a lot of music on his own end.
Okay.
He produces stuff on his own end too. But we're still experimenting with how all four of us together. We did come out with a great track, Back Home to You. That's like one of the songs I really hold on true to LA, because we kind of all four kind of really dove into that one while we were there. But most of the songs kind of always start from me, just at home,
Okay.
doing production, stuff like that. Then I tend to grab Michael in to add the guitars. I mean, that's usually how they drive into. But yeah, we're still in that early stage where we're still figuring out how to experiment with all four of us, together.
Okay.
But it's one of those things. It's like if it's not broken, don't fix it type of thing too. So
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm definitely one of those. I know Michael probably said the same thing about himself. I'm definitely one of those that like I work better alone, kind of in a sense.
Okay.
I kind of have to isolate myself. I kind of have to put myself away. I love grabbing ideas and stuff from other things, but then I have to kind of like isolate myself into a room by myself and then start building the song and then go out and then I can have a presentation and say, hey guys, here's this. What do you guys have ideas for with this?
Okay.
And that's it seems to work. It seems to work really well. That's Michael composed the full track on the. This is his first composition up with the Fae. What's the song called again? Love is a Garden, man. Goodness gracious. Yeah. He composed that track, and it was just, I know it's exactly how, I do tracks. You just kind of like, you're at home, you got an idea, you put it together. I remember I was like, when I got the text message, he sent me the song, and I was like in love with it. But yeah, that's just kind of how we've been doing it.
On this recent album, you collaborated with some other Nebraska artists like Hakeem and J. Crumb.
Yes.
Yes. How do those collaborations start? Like, do you reach out to them, or are you existing friends with both those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I have existing friendship, acquaintance, but also worked on music with them in the past.
Okay.
With different projects, different things. So I mean, it definitely branched from there. Those two alone are like, those are like top notch when it comes to like, hip hop in the state of Nebraska
Most
alone. And I don't even like to box them into the state of Nebraska, because I think that's like limiting them, because they're way further than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so like coming to them, you definitely have to have a great presentation before you knock on the door, and that's like any artist that you respect, So the songs that they got on, I just really felt like they worked perfect. They fit perfectly for. They agreed, and boom, made it happen.
Yeah. We interviewed Hakeem last year at Lincoln.
Yeah,
good dude. Very
for sure. Love that dude, man.
Yeah. So
hey, there's popcorn on the ground here. That popcorn that you said that you couldn't give me, that one popcorn. He's not listening to me. I asked this guy for popcorn the other day. He didn't want to give me popcorn, and now he dropped one piece on the ground, and that could have been spread around to the band. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry, man. I just really had to say that.
You're good. All right. So one last question, and then I think we have some time for audience questions. So I saw some fan run up to you beforehand. So definitely think of definitely get thinking of those questions sitting down in the crowd. But how do you guys feel before live performances? Is it weird to get back? Like, are you nervous at all, or is it just all like excitement, ready to entertain?
I mean, when you're the bass player, man, you sit behind. It's not nervous to him, because he just sits behind there and just he vibes. So you don't really got to feel nervous at all, because all you do is just get the vibe.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking. It's a little nerve-wracking. It's a little bit of a change, man. Being present in people's faces and things. I'm kind of a loner when it comes to whatever. A lot of people, think just because like we're on stage, I think we're all like, oh, we're just so extroverted, but not that much, to be honest. I love people. I don't want to shut anybody off. Be like, oh damn, I don't want to talk to them. But yeah. But no, I mean, it's a little nerve-wracking, but at the same time, like, it's when you've done it so long and you love what you do, plus you enjoy the guys that you're on stage with doing it, and you kind of just play for each other. You kind of forget about the outside a little bit. You just kind of play for each other. So I know we're excited to just kind of hear how this thing sounds after been such a long time on stage. and just kind of like, it's fun to kind of just vibe off different people's energy and things. Like Alex now, he's definitely brought a big energy to the band too. I got drummer background, and so having that drummer that kind of has that energy, that's why I really match with him, just because I feel like we have the same energy as drummers in a sense. But it's exciting, man. But it's definitely some. You nervous? You're nervous. Yeah, you're nervous.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're nervous.
So we have time for probably like 1 to 2 audience questions. So if you have a question, you're sitting out there, just raise your hand and I'll run the microphone.
What advice would you give to a lot of like young starting artists?
I love that question, man. Dude, I love that question because that's like literally like one of the biggest reasons I continue to do this. I mean, it's like I remember when I was a kid. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old at the time. And my dad took me to a jazz performance that Dietz Music House was putting on in Omaha, and the whole time I was just like infatuated, man. I just loved the way how happy these guys looked, excited they were. I mean, everybody was cohesive. It was just was a feeling, And I remember just having that feeling when I was that young, like, dude, this is what I want to do. Like, if I could put together people in the same, passion into the same thing, the same room and onto stage, man, I could take over the world. I mean, that's how you get that feeling, And so what's crazy is too, I was brought on stage to play timbales with a drummer in the back. And the whole time, like, and I was just like even more infatuated now. Then after the show, they signed one of my sweatshirts and, like signed it for me and everything. And I was just like, I remember telling my dad that day, like, I want to do this. Like, this is what I want to do. And the whole time was crazy. The whole time he's like, just matter of fact, I think this was like 2 years ago when I asked him, I said, did you ask those guys to get me on stage? He was like, no, not a one bit. So I really like take that to heart because like, it was a room full of, probably 100 or something like that. And they picked me out of nowhere to come on stage, And I felt like maybe it was because of just my, staring into their eyes. He was like, they looked at me and said, oh man, that guy, that kid right there, he must really feel it. He must have that energy. And so I held on to that for a long time. And so like, to me, man, like what I would tell like younger people, in this is to just chase it, man. Chase it till you can't think anymore. Nebraska, and to be honest, man, Nebraska's limited with resources. It's limited to like what you can do or how far you can go. And so you have to kind of remove yourself from that. Hold home on your shoulders. I love where we're from. I love being from Lincoln. I love being from Nebraska, but I don't let that limit me. I don't let that hold me back. And I think a lot of people will tell you, oh, get a real job and blah, 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 Yeah. But dude, if you're passionate about something, that's anything. If you're passionate about anything, like you just gotta chase it, man. You just gotta chase it. And just keep creating. A lot of times too, when you think of music, it's like, oh, I didn't go to music school and I didn't take theory for 10 years. Scratch that, bro. Like, some of the best painters never took technical painting classes, Basquiat never took a technical painting class. Frida never took a technical painting class, and they are where they are because they chase their passion. So it's like, don't let that hold you back that, like these, your musicianship isn't quite where it is, like chase that too, But yeah, man, that's one of the biggest things, and that's like literally, man, when we come here, the past few times we've came here, I think this is one of AZP, but I guess, we were on the Fame one time too. We brought the kids on stage and seeing their energy, when they're on stage, because I remember being that kid, I remember being in that position, man. And it's like, it changes your life. If you hold on to it, it definitely changes your life. I'm not where I want to be quite yet in music, I don't think these guys are either, but that's why we're chasing it, and you just got to continue to chase it. But yeah, that's my spiel.
Okay, well, that is a really good spiel to end on. Thank you so much for Here Grand Island, for hosting us. We will be back one more time the last Friday in July. The Commonwealth is produced by Hunter Bergman and social media promotions ran by Ashley Hansen. We release episodes every single Monday, so follow us on podcasts, on all podcast platforms for those in the audience, and then tap the follow button if you're listening at home. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Goodbye!